I'm Josh with Waupaca Community Media, back once again with Aaron Jensen from the city of Waupaca and Ron Sari from the Waupaca School District for our weekly community update. And how are you guys doing today?
Doing good. Good.
Good. So the first thing, a couple different things going on with the city we want to talk about. The first thing that some people may have heard about a little bit is a business incentive program being developed. And I'm one of those people that have heard very little about it. I know it exists. So what's that all about, Aaron?
Yeah, throughout this past summer, Josh, City Council and Board of Review and Plan Commission all weighed in on kind of altering TIF plans, TIF 10 and TIF 4. TIF 10 is our downtown TIF district, and we altered the plan to allow for a half-mile radius, which is most TIF district plans have that in them in any city, and for whatever reason, when we created ours, it just didn't. That allows us to invest in some areas a half a mile from the border of that TIF. The reason we focused on TIF 10 is because downtowns, main streets, small businesses have been impacted by the pandemic, and we have the Main Street project coming up, and that'll have an impact in 2021. And we wanted to see what kind of tools we had to responsibly provide some programs that can help invest in our community. And we've had a couple meetings with a group that we call our Economic Development Advisory Group. They're a collection of business leaders, business representatives, building owners, and elected officials. And we kind of went through a bunch of proposed framework to how this could work. So what we're looking at is facade grant programs, building infrastructure improvement grant programs, and we're giving a presentation on that at this next council meeting. So myself and Andrew Dane, the Economic Development Advisory or Economic Development Specialist that we have, and Mayor Smith has been intricately involved as well. So we look forward to talking about that more next. When I say next council meeting, it's not Tuesday, because remember, elections are Tuesday the 3rd, in case anyone forgot, which I'm not sure that that's possible. But so the council meeting has been pushed to Wednesday, November 4th at 6, and we'll talk more about it then.
And if you haven't absentee voted, don't forget to vote on the 3rd. Polls are open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So the city's working on something nice for the businesses that we just talked about. Another thing we previously talked about for the residents is the Resident Appreciation Day. And you know what? The weather didn't cooperate on Try 1. There was some snow, and Try 2 didn't work out. Just the weather was icky, and that's been rescheduled, hopefully the final time. So remind us about that.
Yeah, so that would be this Sunday from 1 until 4. We've rescheduled it twice. We're working with City Council. Mrs. Cummings over there, the City Council and Student Council. Mrs. Cummings is the Student Council advisor. So we're coordinating in step with them. We'll rake some leaves. Because we're losing some volunteers with all of the date changes, I think we're going to up our equipment from rakes to some pretty high industrial blowers to make sure we can get through as many lawns as we can. I think we have about 10 people who signed up. So it looks like the weather and the forecast looks much better for Sunday. So I'm crossing my fingers we can get out there and do some work.
And another thing the city's working on that we've also talked about that benefits both residents and businesses and the community alike is the zoning code rewrite. And that process is getting close to finished. There was some public input, and I know some of that public input's being reconsidered as part of that process as you wrap up.
Yeah, so prior to our previous city council meeting, we had a public hearing, and we did receive some public input, and we received some input from our council. The input and the direction during the agenda item, which that night we had the first reading scheduled. So for everyone who doesn't know kind of how this works, when you adopt a new ordinance, you have a public hearing, you have a first reading, likely that same night, and then you have a second reading. And then if it passes through all those channels, it has an opportunity to get adopted. Well, because there was public input and because there was some things brought up that we wanted to make sure that we addressed, they kicked it back to Plan Commission, which just happened to be meeting the next week. So that worked out time-wise as far as the timelines go. And we went through it. Really, there's no substantial changes. I think all of the public input, we had meetings with them. It got addressed. They understood kind of the reasoning behind what's in there. And we're kicking it back for another first reading of that ordinance next Wednesday, November 4th. So we'll see how it goes. We'll continue working through that process.
And one more main thing a city business talk about is the budget process is moving along.
Yep. So in addition to all the stuff we already talked about on November 4th, we're also having a committee of the whole meeting to go through TIF and transit. That'll be the focus of our budget meeting. That'll be immediately following the council meeting. And then after that, we're going to look at the overall budget, which would be the second meeting in November. I believe it's November 17th. That committee of the whole meeting will be right after our regular scheduled council meeting as well. So we are, looking forward to kind of coming closer to the end and laying out what everyone's been waiting to see. And so far 2021 looks, better than we maybe at one point could have anticipated, with all of the shared revenue question marks and all of that. Now, we've talked about it on here before. We're not sure what the impacts of that will be long term. Could we feel that more in 2022? Sure, we could. But for 2021, it's looking very similar to what it did in 2020, which is a positive.
We've started out so many of these weekly interviews starting out with all the COVID news or topics around that. And I did the opposite this time. We got through the business, and now we'll get to some of that. And Ron, what I want to talk about is a lot of schools, people paying attention to news, or in other school districts, a lot of schools are maybe going to go virtual for a week or two following Thanksgiving or the Christmas holiday, just because despite what people ask, families will still get together. There might be increased spread, and some schools' philosophy by doing that is it gives a little bit of time for that to work itself out before people are back in the building. And partly due to your having 3 nurses on staff to help with some of that, the Waupaca School District has a different philosophy. I guess barring anything major, you'll be in person right after those 2 holidays. Explain why.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen, Josh. Our nurses are able to follow up with every student absence. So when a parent or a student calls into the office that they have symptoms or they're ill or sick and they're staying home, the nurses are able to stay on top of that, contact the families, identify what the symptoms are, provide some education, tell them what to do. If there were positive or we had to do contact tracing, they're able to stay right up on top of that. And they're providing us with the details so that we have a good pulse of what the level of health is amongst our student body. And most, other places aren't able to, I believe, stay on top of it as well as our 3 nurses are in our district. And so their advice to us was, we wouldn't know after, you have a week over Christmas break and almost a week, 5 days over Thanksgiving break, and then another remote period of time. We would be then coming back, not really knowing what the health status is of our student body, because if we're teaching and learning remotely, what's the reason to call if a student has some symptoms? So we've decided that it's better to continue on the path that we're on. We feel very confident with the path that we're on, that it's been working for us. And we haven't had to transition to anything other than the current AB schedule for our 7th through 12th grade and the 4 days a week in person with our elementary through 6th grade. So we feel real good about it. And on top of that, we've invested a lot of resources in our planning to get us to where we're at, with our sanitizing and the fogging devices in all the buildings, our ionization, and our HVAC is up and running in some of our buildings, and it's in the final stages of being fully implemented in the other buildings. The time and effort that our custodians and maintenance people have put in to that sanitizing process and our regimented cleaning efforts that go on. So we feel real good. It's working, and we're going to continue to stay the course. And it's in line with our philosophy. We believe that in-person learning is what's best. And so we're just going to keep holding on.
And I know part of you and the school district evaluating what you should be doing. I know you have access to a lot of data. You talk to public health a lot. I know you want to speak a little bit about what you're seeing.
Yeah, we're seeing, let me pull it up here so I can have the accurate data. We're seeing the last few weeks have been rough, and the county data shows it as well. And when I look at our staffing, we had double digits the last couple of weeks with staff out COVID related and staff out non-COVID related in some cases. But this week, we've had single digits with staff out with COVID related. Today, there's only 3 staff out with, these are classroom teachers I'm talking about, not all the staff, but just the classroom teachers. Only 3 classroom teachers out. We haven't had that since, September 28th, when we had only 2 out with a COVID reason. So that's a positive. And then when I look at the other pieces of data where we take all of our staff that are out for a COVID reason and all of our students that are out for a COVID reason, yesterday we had the lowest, only 8 staff out with a COVID reason yesterday. And that's the lowest since September 30th. After September 30th, when we had 8 on that day, we started going double digits, 23, 11. I'm talking total staff now. That we peaked with the most staff out for a COVID reason on October 15th with 30. So it's nice to see from that day, it just slowly is going less and less. And yesterday we got into single digits. So that's really encouraging to see. And talking with Jed today, is we met as the county superintendents with him. Outagamie County appears to have plateaued and possibly now is trending down with their daily positive cases that they're having. And I'm hoping that's the case here in our county as well.
Well, hopefully everyone keeps doing what they're supposed to be doing to help keep things good. And hopefully some of the trends you're seeing and some of the data you have shows that hopefully we are going in the right direction and things. Anyone watching the news knows they're calling Wisconsin a hotbed for this, and hopefully this shows we're moving in the right place.
I think so. Our staff is doing the right thing, and we believe our families are doing the right thing with the 3 W's that we practice: wearing our mask and watching our distance and washing our hands frequently. So we keep doing that, we're going to be able to keep and maybe increase the amount of in-person learning that we can provide. That's our goal, is to increase it so that hopefully we're back in person 5 days a week, K-12.
So much has changed with the COVID pandemic going on. A lot of normal things we do aren't happening or have been modified. And one of the things that's happening locally this weekend that all the kids are looking forward to is trick or treat. And it's believed that being outdoors and with a few safety precautions in place, that's hopefully a low risk activity.
Yeah, so that's this Saturday already, and as we said before, the weather looks all right for this Saturday. So that's
actually
good.
Really nice for Saturday.
Really nice, yeah. So hopefully that stays as it is. But we've been talking as city administrators in the county, across the county, and that includes us, Waupaca, Clintonville, and New London. And we've been meeting with Jed at Public Health, and we've been talking about trick or treating, and he's given us resources to share, which you have shared on our community media, Josh. And his opinion is, that we can, and all of our opinion is that this is something that we can continue to have in play and do it safely. And there are some things I would encourage everyone to go to our website. You have it posted right on our front page. On the left-hand side, it says trick or treating. There are some safety precautions that people can take. When you're going up to homes, wear a mask if you don't already have one on. If people don't want to participate, turn your lights off, turn your porch lights off. Have a sign out that maybe right as people kind of come onto your property or on your porch or whatever, that just states that they're not participating this year. So there are some things that people can do. The other things, are really what we've been telling people to do when they go anywhere right now. And that is, if you're sick, if you have symptoms, even if you think it's a cold, you have a runny nose, you have a sore throat, you I mean, just don't go. Be responsible. Don't participate if you're seeing some of those things, so that everyone else that is healthy and not at risk can kind of enjoy some sense of normalcy, especially for the kids. So that's happening this week.
And the official trick-or-treating hours in the city of Waupaca are this Saturday, the 31st, from 5 till 7.
Yeah. Thanks for the reminder, Josh.
And then the last little bit, for those of you watching this interview, if this is part of the city community media department, we've got a survey out there looking for feedback about all the different things we do to help make sure we're getting information like this out effectively, or if there's better ways or different ways. And that survey is available at cityofwaupaca.org, or more specifically, cityofwaupaca.org/cm-survey. So Aaron kind of said, hey, that would be a good thing to promote on this, so we're promoting it.
I did. I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit too, and I think COVID pushed that. And I know I give you a lot of credit, Josh, for reviewing what it is that you're doing, the impact that it's having. When COVID happened, you were forced to stop doing some of the normal things that you did, bringing people in from the community to push certain things, and then you realized, what's the feedback we're getting for not having this stuff, and the lack of feedback, or the feedback that we do get, what direction should that push us to in the future, as to how can we be most effective in getting the word out and communication out through our community media station, which is a fantastic asset for our whole community. So that survey, we would love to hear from people. So I encourage you to go where Josh just mentioned, fill out the survey, give us your input so we can be most impactful in communicating the needs of our residents to you guys. So,
hey Josh, I'm on the website for the city. Where on the website do I find it at?
I believe it's under the general news on the homepage. And maybe there's
so city news, right-hand side of the homepage, it says help shape the future of community media.
Oh, maybe I'm not on the homepage. Okay. Well, there it is. Help shape the community. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So it's a short survey, just a couple questions, but I think the feedback it'll get will make sure we're putting stuff in the right place and the right format for people to get it.
I also, last thing, Josh, I know you didn't have this on your list, but we're right in the middle of the fall, and we talked about raking leaves as part of Resident Appreciation Day, but we also have our leaf pickup happening right now, and that's done by wards. And there is also a nice map on the city website, can be found on the homepage, that has the leaf pickup schedule by ward. I believe week of October 26th right now, so we're in wards 4 and 6. The week of November 2nd, next week, we'll be in wards 2, 7, 11, 12, and 13. So
yeah, you gotta look at that map to know what part of the city you're talking about, because it's foreign to me what you're saying, and probably a lot of people.
yeah, exactly. If you don't know what ward you're in, go to that map. It's all color coded. You'll be able to see where you live and the corresponding dates that your leaves will be picked up. So
awesome. Well, Ron, Aaron, thanks again for joining us this week and getting us up to date. And Ron, it's good to hear a lot of the positive stuff from the school, and I know you're big on studying all the numbers because you need to make decisions. And it's good to hear some of the stuff you're sharing, and hopefully where it's trending long term.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.